welcome back, and welcome to my freezing cold garage here in Massachusetts. But I want to take you over here where I am storing my dahlia tubers. So this is going to be my second year storing tubers here in the garage. It is unheated, it is freezing right now. And this is actually, though, the first time I am storing them this way in peat moss. Now, last year I stored them in a big crate and they were stored in pine shavings, and I found that they kind of dried out a little bit too much in there. I also did not do a good job checking in on them and even just like seeing how they were doing, to be honest. I kind of just forgot about them because of where I put them. However, I would say at least half of them or so survived, and I planted them out super late, like way late, and I was lucky to get a bloom, but I just wanted to save the tubers anyways. But last year I went super heavy starting my own dahlia seedlings, and I bought and invested in actually a lot of tubers for next year. So I'm gonna take you over here, show you how I stored them, and we're gonna see how they are doing. Now, I do check on them every single week. I do have them tarped right now because it was actually 34 degrees in here because it is freezing. We've had snow, and when we are getting like the snowblower out or doing the driveway, we leave the garage door open, so it gets fairly cold. So I have been tarping them. It's about 40 degrees, I think, in here right now. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Christy. I am located in Western Massachusetts, Zone 6A. It is like 20 degrees right now. And we are trying to save my tubers for my roadside flower stand. And I, as I mentioned, invested a lot in some new tubers. I also saved a bunch of seedlings that we dug up together. And I saved a lot of my Costco dahlias that we also dug up together. So this is not my first time saving and storing them and digging my own up, but it is definitely the most I've had at this scale in a new type of system. And the system that I'm actually using is just plastic shoebox containers and peat moss, and then I'm just labeling them outside. I have before been checking them every single week, if not more. However, with the tarp up right now, I have not checked in on them at all. So I thought I would take you along for the ride. So we're gonna get closer. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. It is nothing fancy, and my garage is a hot mess right now, but no judgment, and let's go see what it looks like. One thing I want to show you is what I have been using to monitor the temperatures in here, and also I do have it on my phone, but I mostly just walk by and I check it out. But it's this, it is this ThermaPro monitor. It hooks up to my phone via Bluetooth. So your ideal temperatures when you are storing your dahlias is between 40 and 50 degrees. Now, people do so many different ways with storing them. You can try and overwinter them, which is something that I don't feel comfortable doing here in Massachusetts right now. You could use peat moss, you can use the saran wrap method, you can just store them as clumps, you can divide them. There's so many different ways. But what I did was, again, is I actually already divided everything and I stored them in peat moss in a shoe bin, and I have them on my shoe rack right here, which is super helpful. So I have this here, and it tells me basically the lowest my humidity has been 55% and the highest has been 70. You're gonna wanna aim for even higher than that, but however, I just can't control that right now. I don't have them in a controlled environment, but I've been checking in on them, and it's usually around like 60%. And my average is normally around 40 degrees, but it did dip a few times into the like higher 30s, mid 30s for a day. But I really think that was just because of the fact that we had the garage open so we could get the snowblower and shoveling. So I always make sure that we close it as quick as possible so that way we're not letting all this cold air come in. So let's unwrap it and see how they're doing. Now, I really shoved these in, and I had some shoes helping out. So these are all of my dahlias. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows, and I jam-pack them in, some more than others. I try doing it by variety, except for these top ones up here. I purchased some tubers from a local grower, and I just kind of took everything and shoved a bunch in there. She did label them really well. But I have been checking on these because these ones I bought and they're new. If it's like a Costco one, I feel like I'm not gonna be too upset because I can just go back to Costco and buy whatever they have. And for like $13 or $15, $16, you get quite a good amount. Fortunately, I didn't have any issues with gall. I believe they're by Longfield, but these ones I bought, and she does have more. So I only asked for 1 tuber per variety, just in the hopes that if something did happen to them, I could buy more, even though that would be awful. So they are just in peat moss. And what I personally like to do, again, I am not an expert, second time storing these, first time in this, is I just move my hand around. And so this one right here is looking a little suspect. It's just so small. She did give me some smaller ones that she had extra that I didn't pay for. So let's see. All right, so here is a better one, and this is nice and firm. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for them to still be nice and plump, nice and firm, and I'm just gonna bury that little guy back in there. Like this one, for instance, it is so small. This was an extra one, I wanna say. It's still pretty firm, but I don't know if you can see, the lighting here is awful. It is a little shriveled up, but you know what? I will still plant it anyways, because I had some last year that I was like, nothing is gonna happen. And they did pop out some flowers. So let's see if I can find anything over here. All right, here's another good one. I'm just obviously trying to be careful they don't break anything. So I have one that is put here. This one right here off to the side is a little bit shriveled, but this one, nice and firm. I don't see any signs of rot or mold on these. And again, these are in a unheated garage. I might put a little bit more peat moss on top just to add maybe a little bit more extra protection, because I do have some that is opened over there. But these ones were a lot smaller now. Let me see. And I also have it so I could see inside. I've been checking to make sure there's no condensation inside. If I do find that there are some water droplets building up, my plan was to just uncover them, even if it's just through a little corner, until it can hopefully just dry out in there. But I don't think we have any issue of that. So I'm gonna find one further down and see how those ones are looking. Usually when I would go through, I would just do 1 row at a time. Throughout the week, you know, I would bring my car in here, get the kids' backpacks in, and then I would check out and see how they were doing. All right, so this is, hold on. Let's just not drop all the things. Here we go. Here's one right here. So this is one that I saved, and it is not squishy. There's no soft spots. So that one I'm going to put and bury back in. And then let's see if I can find another one. Oh, this one had 2 stuck to it. Again, still nice and firm, doesn't look shriveled up, doesn't show any signs of rot or mold in here. But I do notice that I probably should, I'm gonna put this down, put a little bit more peat moss on top, just as an added protecting layer. All right, down here, these are some of my seedlings. Some of them had tags, some did not. So these were a little bit smaller, and I did leave these as clumps. So let's see if I can find one. I mean, look at, see, they're super duper small, but they're looking fantastic. Again, they don't show any signs of any rot. I'll stick that back in. Oh, look, here's a clump. Oh boy. All right, so here is a whole entire little clump, but they all look great, which is like so relieving right now. I mean, we're not even in January, okay? We are still far from, you know, them still being okay and planting out. Again, I think I really do need to add some more peat moss. They probably settled after a while. I'm gonna check one more. Let's try and find one from the Costco. Let's see, which is this? All right, so this is Pacific Time. It says there's 3 of them in here, so we'll see. Oh my gosh. And I can't stay in here too long. It's freezing. Let's see. All right, here's one. All right, so this one has 3 stuck to it, but they're still looking great. Oh my gosh, this makes me so happy. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than, you know, trying something out, especially something that is like you're invested this much in. All right, let's see if I can find, I don't know if that's just peat moss. All right, I don't even want to unbury these. My fingers are actually freezing out here right now. All right, we're gonna try one more. All right, here's lilac thyme. It says there's 7 of them in here. All right, let's see. I can feel one right here, but it feels ginormous, so I don't want to take a huge one out. All right, here we go. Whoa. All right. So we have, looks like 3 together. This one might have a broken neck, but other than that, it's still nice and firm. Yeah, this one must have been just squished in too much. All right, and then we're gonna bury that back up. And I'm probably actually, now looking at these, going to add a lot more peat moss to them, but other than that, they're looking great. All right, so I wrapped everything back up. It is freezing in here, but I just wanted to go over a few things. So again, there's so many different ways of storing. I know for us up in the north, where it gets really cold, we are always worried about what is gonna happen with our tubers. There's so many different ways. I've seen people just leave them in clumps with a little bit of dirt, put them in a brown paper bag, chuck them on the rack in their garage, and they were totally fine. And this is going to hopefully work. Again, it's not even January 1st, but I just wanted to do a check-in and also help remind you that it's also important to check in on your dahlias as well. Even if you're just saving them for your garden, for you to enjoy, but if you're also using them to sell as flowers, you definitely want to try and figure it out before you are like jumping full in and buying all the different varieties. I don't suggest going all in until you can figure out a good way of storing them, because you don't want to lose them in the end. There's a flower stand that's a couple towns over, and I remember her saying that she used the saran wrap method and did not have any luck whatsoever. She lost everything, so she told me to stay away. And I'm like, oh, that's a little bit too much extra work. I'd rather just dump them. Like, I did the pine shavings. It did pretty good. It did dry a lot of them out, but they still bounce back. So you just never know until you plant them out into the spring. So signs you're going to be looking for are rot or mold, condensation inside. And if you do find that something is rotting or molding, I know that there's a couple of things you could do if there is mold. Thankfully, I haven't run into that problem, so I don't really know all of the things you can do, but you can definitely research it. And then if you do find something that is rotting, it's really important for you to get it out of whatever storage method you are using, so that way it doesn't spread to any of the other tubers. I also made sure when I was storing them that they weren't touching. So if I did have some that were rotting, hopefully with the added peat moss layer, they wouldn't be touching and it wouldn't spread to there. So then just chuck it, make sure you just get rid of it. And again, always checking them as much as possible, at least once a month. I would go row by row, as I mentioned before, when I would just go out and put my kids' backpacks in. I wouldn't check all the way, but just the top ones. I figured if the top ones are doing okay, then I'm assuming the bottom ones are, because it'd be too much for me to go in and check every single one. And I don't even have that many. So I can't even imagine people that have a ton of them. So check for rot, and if you find that they're drying out, you can always go and take a spray bottle and just mist inside, and hopefully that will help hydrate them up again, so then they can survive the next several months or weeks that you need to plant them out. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. This is going to be a nice little quick reminder for you, and I hope that your dahlia tubers are doing well. If you would like to check out how I stored all of my dahlia tubers, I can link in the description below the videos that I walk you through that, even just from digging them up from my backyard, rinsing and washing them, drying them, dividing them, and then storing them. I have everything in a YouTube video, so you can always try that out for next year. Now, I know if you're in the middle of winter, you might not need to store them, but if you're buying them right now and you're not getting those spring shipments, then maybe this might help you out too, just trying a different way of storing them. So until next time, go ahead and click like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I'll see y'all later. Happy gardening. Bye.